Each year, more than 2 million tons of honey are produced worldwide. This sweet and nutritious product is obtained from bees, and millions of hives are needed to obtain this enormous quantity. But how is honey produced? How is it possible for bees to produce this delicacy? Well, today we will travel to China, the world's largest honey producer, with more than 500,000 tons of honey produced annually. There, we will see the entire process that honey goes through, from how bees collect it to how it is packaged in jars ready for distribution. So get ready, because today we are going to discover how thousands of jars of honey are made every day. Let's begin. Step number 1. Nectar collection. The journey of honey begins with a fascinating task that depends entirely on worker bees. These tireless workers travel hundreds of hectares of flowers in search of nectar, the raw material of honey. The bees land on the flower, and thanks to their proboscis, a long and specialized tongue, they can extract the nectar with great precision and store it in their honey stomach, where the transformation process begins. During their day, a single bee can visit between 500 and 1,000 flowers a day, collecting small amounts of nectar. The nectar collected can vary depending on the type of flower. Some flowers produce sweeter nectar, while others produce more acidic nectar, which influences the final flavor of the honey. In its entire life, a single bee can produce barely half a teaspoon of honey. However, it is the collective effort of all the bees in a hive that allows enough nectar to be collected to produce large quantities of honey. They not only collect nectar, but also pollinate flowers while they work. By doing so, they ensure that plants can reproduce and that the ecosystem remains balanced, thus performing an incredibly important task for nature. Once the bee returns to the hive, the nectar it has collected is transferred to other bees to continue the process of converting it into honey. Let's take a look. Step number 2. Transformation of nectar into honey. With the collected nectar, the worker bees pass it on to other bees inside the hive, who carefully transfer it to the hexagonal cells, where the fascinating transformation into honey begins. The bees, with their incredible work, begin to transform this liquid nectar into the honey we know. The bees beat their wings at high speed, creating an air current inside the hive. This current helps to evaporate the excess water from the nectar, which causes the liquid to thicken little by little. As the nectar thickens, the bees also add natural enzymes, which are substances that help break down the more complex sugars in the nectar into simpler sugars, such as glucose and fructose. This is what gives honey its characteristic sweet taste and makes it a food that is easier to digest and store. When the honey reaches the desired consistency, the bees carefully seal the hexagonal cells with a layer of wax. This seal protects the honey, ensuring that it is perfectly preserved until it is needed. This honey can be stored for months or even years, depending on the needs of the hive and external conditions. Thus, the honey is well insulated and ready to be stored. With the cells sealed, the next step is the extraction of the honeycombs. Let's go! Step number 3. Extraction of honeycombs. The extraction of honeycombs is one of the most delicate moments in beekeeping. Beekeepers must be very careful when removing them so as not to interrupt the work of the bees and ensure that the hive continues to function properly. Each honeycomb is carefully sealed by the bees, and when removing it, it must be done with precision. This ensures that the bees can continue to produce honey in the other honeycombs in the hive without affecting the natural balance. To carry out this process, beekeepers use specialized tools. Uncapping tools are key tools that allow them to remove the layer of wax that seals the cells full of honey without damaging either the honey or the cells. Hot knives are also used to smooth the work as they heat the wax and make it easier to cut, ensuring that the process is quick and effective. In addition, beekeepers protect themselves with special suits that include gloves and hats with mesh to avoid bee stings, which allows them to work with peace of mind. Once the honeycombs are carefully removed, they are transported to processing plants. It is essential that during transport, the honeycombs are not exposed to extreme temperatures or excessive humidity, as this could affect the quality of the honey. Once at the plant, it is time to release the honey from its cells and prepare it for the next steps in the process. Let's take a look. Step number 4. Uncapping and centrifugation. Now that the honeycombs have been removed from the hive, it is time to release the honey. First, the layer of wax that covers the honey cells is removed, which is known as uncapping. To To do this, beekeepers use hot knives that melt the wax with precision, leaving the cells free of their natural seal. Once the wax is removed, the honeycombs are placed in a centrifuge, a machine that rotates at high speed. This rotational force creates a centrifugal pressure that causes the honey to detach from the cells and accumulate in a container specially designed to collect it. This process is fast and highly efficient, allowing the honey to be extracted effectively and preparing it for its next process. Let's see it. Step number 5. Filtering and purification. Once the honey has been extracted and centrifuged, there may still be small impurities, such as fragments of wax or pollen. To ensure that the honey is completely clean and ready for consumption, it undergoes a filtering process. Operators use fine filters or special meshes that remove any unwanted residue. These filters are designed to trap even the smallest particles, ensuring that the delicious honey is smooth, crystal clear, and perfect for packaging. In some factories, honey also goes through a pasteurization process, where it is heated to controlled temperatures. This helps to eliminate possible microorganisms, ensuring that the honey is safe and has a longer shelf life. However, some producers prefer not to pasteurize it, to preserve all its natural properties. Once the honey is completely filtered and purified, it is ready for the next step: packaging, where it is prepared to reach our tables. Let's go. Step number 6. Packaging, sealing, and labeling. With the honey purified and ready for distribution, it is time to package it and ensure that it reaches consumers in perfect condition. For this, automatic packaging machines are used, which pour the honey into jars or containers of different sizes, depending on the product to be offered. These machines are capable of packaging up to 50,000 jars of honey a day, ensuring great efficiency. The process is carried out with extreme precision, filling each container with the exact amount of honey, leaving no room for air bubbles or impurities that may have remained. This is key to ensuring that the honey retains its freshness and quality throughout its shelf life. Did you know that honey never expires? Although it may crystallize over time, it is still completely safe for consumption. Once the jars are full, the next step is sealing. The lids are placed hermetically on each jar, protecting the honey from external factors such as humidity or air, which could alter its flavor and texture. Finally, the sealed jars go to the labeling line, where labels with information such as their origin, best before date, and other relevant details are applied. This ensures that each jar has the correct traceability and that the consumer can verify the quality of the product. With the jars perfectly sealed and labeled, the honey is ready to be distributed to points of sale so that you can enjoy it. Step number 7. Quality control and distribution. Quality control is the last step before the honey reaches consumers. Operators perform tests on taste, texture, color, humidity, and acidity on each batch, ensuring that there are no impurities or unwanted characteristics. In addition, microbiological analyses are carried out to ensure that the honey is free of bacteria and microorganisms, ensuring that only the best reaches our tables. Once the honey passes all these tests, it is organized for distribution. The jars are sent to supermarkets, online stores, and local markets, both national and international. The batches are carefully packed in boxes to prevent damage and are transported in vehicles that maintain ideal conditions. And so, after all this process, the honey that reaches your hands is the result of a collective effort between bees, beekeepers, and operators. To finish, tell us, were you surprised by everything involved in producing honey? What do you usually eat it with? Leave us your answer in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe for more fascinating processes.